This mini PC may look old, but under that retro shell is a modern Ryzen processor capable of some seriously impressive gaming, even if it does look like an answering machine from 1991. Beep, you have 0 new messages. Nobody loves you. Beep. And it says that every time I turn it on. Beep. Beep. This is my new mini PC, the AceMagic X3, a lovely little rectangle that looks old, in a good way, unlike you. And I've been seriously excited to get my hands on this. I've been rocking the AceMagic X5 for the last month or so, but I secretly had my heart set on its slightly weaker, cheaper, and more different little brother, the X3. There's something about this retro-inspired design that really grabbed me. It has that classic console vibe without looking like a fake Nintendo, and I think that is so freaking cool. Unfortunately, they ran out of this. It was sold out. So I kept emailing AceMagic until they found me one, and I'm pretty sure I annoyed them and they hate me now. Also, it's readily available on Amazon now too, so apparently I could have just been patient. But then I wouldn't be me. And this has very quickly become the mini PC for me. It feels like the one I've been waiting for, and I'm excited to show you what it can do while gushing uncontrollably about a small gray rectangle. This bad boy is rocking the Ryzen 7 H255 chip, which is the same chip as the Ryzen 7 8845HS, just with the NPU disabled. That's 8 cores, 12 threads with a boost of up to 5.1 GHz and integrated Radeon 780M GPU. We get 16 GB of onboard LPDDR5 RAM running at 6400 megathings per second. For storage, it is a user-replaceable 1TB NVMe SSD. We also get Wi-Fi 6E, Bluetooth 5.2, it's running Windows 11 Pro, it's this big, and it looks like this. You can certainly find cheaper mini PCs, so shop around if you're in the market, but for this size and power and extremely handsome little face, I think that's a great price. I'd happily pay it, as you'll see once I spend the rest of this video aggressively loving it. There's a link in the thingy below if you're interested. On the front, we have a lovely gray strip for retro vibes and a USB-C hole, 2 USB-A holes, and a headphone hole, and a power button. Some vent holes on the side and up top and underneath, and around back we have a power plug hole and an HDMI hole, DisplayPort hole, Ethernet hole, and 4 more USB-A holes. Nice. The box is nice, with some fancy pictures and graphics to snazz it up. Inside we get the mini PC, obviously, and a word paper book explaining how to plug it in and turn it on in 12 languages. Underneath are 2 boxes. Box 1 has a nice compact 120 watt power brick. Box 2 has the power cord and an HDMI cable if you don't have 500 of those by now, and a mounting bracket for hiding the X3 behind a TV or monitor. Although why you'd want to hide this lovely little thing is beyond me. It belongs on the desk where everyone can see it and ask why I keep petting it. Now, you might call me a dweeb for saying this, but the aesthetics of a mini PC are super important to me. My whole setup reeks of retro vibes, and that makes my brain happy. I'm a simple man with simple tastes. Give me beige plastic, gray accents, and a red button, and my brain goes, oh. The previous AceMagic PC that I reviewed was this thing, the Retro X5. It's freaking amazing. Ryzen HX 370, Radeon 890M graphics, 32 GB of RAM, and it looks like a Nintendo NES. Obviously, it's got a lot going for it. However, it's quite a bit more expensive, and also there's something about a device looking a little too much like the thing that inspired it, you know? The X5 falls into this uncanny valley of retro vibes. It's so close to an NES, but obviously isn't an NES, so it ends up feeling a little cheesy. Don't get me wrong, I'd be happily rocking this if the X3 didn't exist, but the X3 does exist, and it freaking nails retro-inspired tech. It looks old, but it doesn't look exactly like any one specific old thing. It borrows just enough from the aesthetics of the NES and the Game Boy era, then applies that to a modern form factor. It's crisp and clean and boxy, almost brutalist in design. And barely decorated, but that gray stripe and the little red button provide precisely the recommended daily allowance of retro flavor. It feels like something that could have existed back then, rather than a modern computer wearing a Nintendo costume. I freaking love it. Apart from that ugly AceMagic logo on top, which I'll probably cover up with like a sticker or a fake button or something, there is nothing I would change. Aesthetically, this is an endgame mini PC for me. It's like someone compressed my entire personality into a little gray rectangle. I tried to marry it, but apparently we're not there yet. Just like the X5, the top cover pops off for easy access to the Upgradey bits. This plate also doubles as an SSD heatsink. However, unlike the X5, the RAM on the X3 is soldered to the board. There is a silver lining though. The X3's RAM runs at 6400 megathings per second compared to 5600 megathings per second on the X5. Since this is an APU and the integrated graphics rely heavily on memory speed, I'm actually happy that they went with faster soldered RAM. We can replace the SSD though, or add a second one through another M.2 slot, and also swap the Wi-Fi card underneath. I added my 4TB M.2 drive from before the storage apocalypse, so this bad boy is now stuffed with Steam games. You can also install Bazite or SteamOS and dual boot between Windows Work Mode and Linux Game Console Mode. I call it Work Mode because watching YouTube while moving files around sounds less impressive. The system is Windows 11 Pro, just a clean, crisp Windows 11, no third-party software, no bloatware, apart from the usual Microsoft bloatware of course, no viruses or other nasties. By the way, there was a thing with AceMagic in the past where they had some questionable software on their PCs. That was a specific few mini PCs that they made, and the reason for that apparently was the janky Windows image they were using. I have thoroughly scanned every mini PC they've sent me since then, and I've never found anything sketchy. I think they learned their lesson with that one, but I'll let you know if I ever see anything sketchy again. We're squeaky clean here on the X3 though. The BIOS is pretty darn basic. We get some of the usual settings for sleep mode, networking, boot options, but no like overclocking or anything. There's not even a performance mode toggle the way that we often get in these things. Just about as basic as it gets in here. Let's get a few benchmarks out of the way, why not? In Cinebench R23, I got a multi-core score of 15,269 and a single-core score of 1,637. That's about equivalent to a desktop Ryzen 5 7600X for reference. In 3D Mark Time Spy, I got an overall score of 3,341, and in Crystal Disk Mark, I got these results. Pretty good for included SSD in a mini PC. Actually, before the game benchmarks, I want to talk about the thermals because this seriously impressed me. During normal Windows stuff, it sat at around 55 degrees Celsius, pulling roughly 5 to 10 watts or so. In benchmarks, it settled at around 67 during the heaviest loads, and it also reached this chip's full 65 watt power limit. And yet, I was blown away by how quiet it is. During everyday use, it is basically silent. The fan is spinning, but I can't hear it at all. It becomes audible while gaming, but just barely, and it never seems to go full blast. Even during heavy CPU benchmarks, it's still not particularly loud. More importantly, the fan itself doesn't sound annoying. It gradually spins up and spins down instead of constantly starting and stopping, and it produces a low whir rather than the high-pitched scream of a tiny robot trapped inside a lunchbox. I didn't have to do anything to compensate for the thermals or fan stuff. It stays cool, it gets the full performance of the chip, and it barely makes a peep. All on its own. This might be the best performance to noise ratio that I've ever experienced on a mini PC. Frickin' good job, AceMagic. I'm impressed. Now, I didn't get this thing for gaming. I wanted the option, but I'll mostly use it for light retro emulation, so raw gaming horsepower wasn't a huge priority for me. But it might be for you, so let's play some gamey games and see how it goes, shall we? Yes, we shall. Starting off, as always, with Shadow of the Tomb Raider. I test this game every time I test gaming performance on any device, and here it's doing pretty dang good. I'm running at 1080p with the high settings, and I got a respectable 35 FPS average. The frame rate was smooth without a bunch of stutters, and the game looked incredible, as this game always does on high settings. Obviously, you could get better performance with lower settings, but for me, this is just as much of a sightseeing game as it is an action game, so I find a middle ground approach to be best. In Elden Ring, I decided to jump in at 1080p high settings just to see how we do, and it was pretty good. I averaged about 33 FPS. This was more than playable, and I actually totally forgot to look at the frame rate while I was actually playing. It felt fine. However, obviously 33 FPS isn't 60 FPS, and if you wanted 60, you'd probably have to go with like low settings and go down to 900p. What's interesting here is that the VRAM and the system RAM are both they're both full. They add up to 16 gigabytes, so I think that we're already running into a RAM bottleneck. Not the hugest deal since the game is playable and enjoyable, but I wonder if this thing, if it had more RAM, how much better it would perform. We do have that faster 6400 RAM in here though, so that's probably pulling extra weight just in terms of raw GPU speed. In Kingdom Come Deliverance 2, I was able to run at 1080p with medium settings, and with balanced FSR, I was averaging about 35 FPS. And again, the RAM is maxed out. VRAM and system RAM together are right at 16 gigs, so we're obviously bottlenecked here with the RAM, and that's probably going to be a thing with every big, beautiful game that you try to run on here. Even if the actual frame rate is totally fine, we would probably get more performance if we had more RAM. Still, you can play it and you get pretty impressive performance considering how good this game looks. Actually, I don't know if the performance of this game has improved a lot since launch or what, but this feels way better than I expected it to considering my previous experience with this game. It's pretty demanding, but it's more than playable here. As for my actual skill with playing it, let's not talk about that. I thought it might be fun to do a Doom double feature. So starting off with the much older Doom Eternal. This is running at 1080p high settings and getting a lovely near constant 60 FPS. A few drops below 60, but we're almost right there. And it's playing silky buttery smooth. It feels great. This game is pretty old now, and it was always well optimized. It runs well on lots of lower end systems, so it's not a surprise that it runs well here. And let's take things up a notch with the sequel that is pretty much the opposite, Doom the Dark Ages. It's new, it's not well optimized, and it doesn't run well on low-end PCs. I have not had great luck with this one on any mini PC, to be fair. And yeah, it's no different here. I went with the default settings, which is 1080p, but with a dynamic resolution scale, and I could tell that it was way down at probably like 50% scale, lowest settings, and even still, we weren't able to manage even 30 FPS. 30 FPS is fine in some games, but here, it felt terrible. So like a game like this, you're not gonna enjoy very much on this machine. Don't buy this to play Doom the Dark Ages, is what I'm saying. Or any mini PC for that matter. And last but not least, here's a little Baldur's Gate 3. This is 1080p with balanced FSR, medium settings, and I got somewhere around like 43 FPS on average. It was going up and down, but 43 is about in the middle of what I was getting. Honestly, yeah, this is great. I would totally play through the whole game like this and have zero problems with it. I mean, this is a story-based CRPG, and while there is a 3D world and camera, you don't need to like be swinging it around and doing actiony stuff, so it's a bit more forgiving than most gameplay styles. But even still, I want it to feel smooth and snappy, and it does here. Honestly, the game runs faster than I make decisions in it, so the mini PC is not the bottleneck here. I was getting a little burnt out on reviewing mini PCs. I used to cover loads of them, but after a while, they all started feeling like the same brushed metal Mac Mini knockoff in slightly different pants. Recently though, lots of companies like AceMagic and GMK Tech have been making machines that actually feel different. It's like companies finally realized that a great box needs some personality if it wants me to invite it into my home and live on my desk. A mini PC isn't something I want to tuck away. I want to love the way it looks and display it proudly. And most importantly, I want something that suits my vibe. Something that speaks to me. And the X3 absolutely does. Not literally, not yet at least. I probably need to gain its trust first. But there are very few mini PCs with a proper retro aesthetic. The X3 somehow surpassed my expectations. It works wonderfully, it's incredibly easy to live with, it's powerful enough for all my normal PC stuff, capable of playing some seriously demanding games, expandable, brilliantly cooled, and I mean, just look at it. Look at it! It looks like an answering machine you'd find at the back of a Radio Shack in 1991. Freaking gorgeous. This is my new mini PC. This is the one I've been waiting for. And I think it loves me too. The power light blinked once when I asked it. Anyways, that's all I have to say. Let me know what you think of this thing. Is it the most beautiful mini PC ever made, or do I just need to get out of the house more? Let me know in the comments. And that'll do it for me for today. I'm TechDweeb. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.